Board Member Ryan Gamboa is with us. First of all, sir, thank you so much. I know it is a special day in your life with Miss Carmela. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Sir Julius, and thank you to Dnx.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'll go straight to the issue. You had a resolution or a manifesto of support for the candidacy of former Congressman Albee. Why this manifesto?
Okay, Sir Jules, thanks for the question, and again, good morning to everyone. As you can remember, I think it was back in May when the Governor, Vice Governor Sangguniang Palalawigan, which I'm a part of, and the rest of the mayors of Negros Occidental, the 31 component LGUs, they passed their own manifesto of support and encouragement for Cong Albee to run as mayor. It was back then that we were all talking na possibly for the councilors and the barangay captains also to come out with something similar, in not only in support of former Congressman Albee, but also in to be united in thought with our mayors and our governor, who we also consider as our leaders, and also we respect them and their decision. And we also love and support Cong Albee for everything he's done for Negros Occidental. So this manifesto was actually supposed to have come out a month ago. But due to the surge in cases, the unavailability of some members of the PCL, some members of Cong Albee himself, it was delayed for about a month. Dapat right after sa iya ka mayors, ara na kami mga 2 or 3. The rationale behind this is that we see in former Congressman Albee a leader that considers all aspects of governance. And during the ECQ itself, we saw certain difficulties in dealing not only with the virus itself, but with certain protocols and procedures in terms of government. And of course, certain parts of the island we were having difficulties with. And so we saw with Cong Albee a unifying factor. He tried to unite the entire province, including Bacolod City, in order to get cooperation, in order to solve this problem as soon as possible. And so with the go signal and the leadership of our provincial and LGU executives, we also felt that we should also throw our support behind Cong Albee in this move, because we want Negros to be united in mind and in spirit.
I'll dive straight into your manifesto.
Okay.
I'll ask questions based on it. First paragraph is, though it is an economically independent, highly urbanized city, Bacolod is still an integral part of Negros Occidental and should synergize its vision with that of the rest of the province. When you say synergize, exactly, ano ang ginathink ninyo?
Well, basically, in my own interpretation, kung maghambal kang, you're looking at a large landmass, and you have a highly urbanized na component, and you have the outside of that are mostly mga first or second class na mga cities and municipalities. These municipalities outside of the highly urbanized area are dependent on jobs, the economy, and certain technological and developmental factors from their center. At the same time, the center is also dependent on these other LGUs for other things like food, workforce, residential areas. There should be a harmonious relationship between highly urbanized and non-highly urbanized areas. And I think this is something that we need really to realize in our province, that just because politically a certain area is not part of the game doesn't mean it doesn't affect the rest of the people in the province, which is what this is all about. It's about the people.
As it is, sir, can you say nga wala sang harmony between city officials and that of other places, like Capital, for example?
Well, there was some clamor way back during the ECQ that there was a lack of cooperation between Bacolod City and Negros Occidental. Actually, this I think raised the awareness sa mga tao sa ground nga ang Bacolod City tuod wala nang gabuto para sa province, and so therefore politically separate kami ang Negros Occidental na provincial government kang ang Bacolod City. I think a lot of people became suddenly aware of that, especially with the implementation of protocols. And you could actually see na we had difficulty in harmonizing the protocols between the city and the province.
Did that incident involving board member Andrew Montelibano play a role? Wala.
Board member Andrew's incident, I remember it was one of the first incidents where that happened, but it was not exactly that individual incident, but there were many more, Sir Julius. After that, a lot of officials and employees of the provincial capital wala gid nakasulod, and it hampered our operations, and it made us also realize nga kabudlay gali mag-operate ang province from inside Bacolod when something like this happens na we are so to speak at the mercy of certain policies of Bacolod when crisis happens or the pandemic strikes.
Okay, thank you, board member. I'll go on.
Okay.
Be that as it may, it cannot stand alone. Fourth paragraph or third, it needs to have a complementary and harmonious relationship with the province. More so during this time of hardship caused by the COVID pandemic, it has become painfully apparent that Bacolod City is in need of strong, competent, and trustworthy officials. Could you kindly elaborate on this?
This is, well, the harmonious is I already explained it. During the pandemic, we look to Bacolod as our leaders because they are the highly urbanized city. In a economic and political hierarchy, you are looking at the highly urbanized to be the one to lead the way. And although we're not really putting that much pressure, we were not putting that much pressure on them, we also expected at least a measure of cooperation. And it seemed to us that that was, like I said, painfully apparent. Nga kulang. There was a lack of that. And so we feel that the COVID pandemic was a test of leadership for all. It is during times like this when a crisis happens na makita mo gid bala ang tutuod bala nga kolor sang isa ka leader nga kung kaya yang manggid mag-handle sang crisis situations when his constituents need him the most.
And what do you think?
And so it has become painfully apparent that there were a lot of problems that became exposed. I won't delve into detail na, but and that's why we made that statement, because perhaps we should also think twice about how we choose our leaders. So amo na siya. So that's basically it. And so that is why now we are getting behind Kong Albee, because he has shown, especially now in the new normal, that he is the type of leader that we really need in order to harmonize all of our policies and rules and regulations.
Are you referring to any particular official or officials?
No, not referring, but more on getting on board with how Kong Albee handled the situation.
Aripa, we would like to share our experience with the Kong Albee way of service to the people of the province's capital, Bacolod City. What is this Kong Albee way of service?
Okay. As you know, I've been a resident of Silay City, 3rd District, for my whole life. When I entered into politics, Kong Albee was already on his way out. And so now we are under his brother, Congressman Kiko Benitez, who is basically practicing almost the same thing. But I've also witnessed the way Kong Albee led the 3rd District as a resident and now as a provincial consultant of Negros Occidental. Kong Albee, his focus is more on laying the groundwork, so that later on, development, investments, and commerce will find it easier to enter. Kung sa planter pa, siya na ang gabungkag sang duta, siya ang nagaabuno. Para nga pagsulod na sang patdan, kag pag-arado na, guwapong tubo, kay tahom na ang pagplastarya sang duta. So amo na nga mo niya na feel with roads, infrastructure, ang aton nga mga barangay nga mga centers, health centers, barangay halls were all improved, built, renovated. In the middle of the pandemic, he was proposing a fiber optic infrastructure for the entire province because he felt that the 4th Industrial Revolution would be the next step towards preparing Negros Occidental for something better. More industries, more investors to come in. And he was already starting there. Galing kay naigot as ang pandemic. So that's Kong Albee's focus. Infrastructure, health, healthcare, of course, education, preparing everything, and investments, because he's a businessman. So kabalo siya kung paano mag-attract sa investors diri sa aton.
There are those of the opinion nga you cannot compare Mayor Bing and Cong Albee. For one, lain ang ilang nga track record. One is in legislation, the other is in administration. And then ang ilang nga mga lugar, lain man. One is agricultural. This is according to Archie Baribar, councilor. And the other is a highly urbanized city. What do you think?
Sir Julius, I don't really like to draw comparisons because I was asked on another program of what I thought of what Councilor Baribar thought of our statement as councilors. I said, well, Councilor Baribar is entitled to his opinion, as I hope he respects, especially as a human rights lawyer, our entitlement to our own opinion. So we don't really look at the faults of other leaders, but we look at the strengths of the leaders that we have followed. And since we saw that there are some problems that arose during the pandemic, we saw that the way that Congressman Albee handled the situation was 5 stars, excellent, gidya. So that's why we decided not to come out with this manifesto, not just as councilors, but everyone. The barangay heads, the provincial heads, and the local chief executives all came out with their own manifestos.
I won't keep you long. I know nga nagkuhan na kayo time.
Wala kang problema.
Board Member Ryan Gamboa,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Julius, and thank you for having me. And tell you what, good day to all of you.